Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to your Chelsea news. In today's video, we are talking about Enzo Fernandez playing the last few games with an injury, as well as how Chelsea and Enzo Maresca view Enzo Fernandez for the future. Not only that, but we have an update regarding Benjamin Sesko, and Chelsea are really considering going in for a new centre-back. Now, of course, I'll be giving my own thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported, but more importantly, I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments. And before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 10k by the end of 2025. Kicking things off, Nizar Kinsella has reported that Enzo Fernandez has played through the last 2 games suffering from conjunctivitis. This is wild, you know. I don't know if you've ever had conjunctivitis. It is not the nicest thing to have to deal with, but it makes everyday eyesight and doing things very challenging. So I'm very surprised that Enzo Fernandez has been able to continue to play with conjunctivitis, and even you can see from the picture on what's been tweeted from the article, you can see his eyes are all sticky and like look swollen-ish. Honestly, that's an incredible feat, and that's a testament to Enzo Fernandez. I'm not saying that he's playing with a broken leg, of course, or he's doing a Van der Sar where he popped his shoulder out. I am just highlighting that Enzo Fernandez is one of those players who knows what it means to play for Chelsea, or if he doesn't, he's certainly on his way of understanding what it means to play for Chelsea and put on that Chelsea shirt. He is a very proud player. He is playing the best football he has in a Chelsea shirt this season, and this is just a testament to his mindset of knowing how important these last remaining games have been, and how important the final game of the season is, and the Conference League final is going to be in terms of Chelsea's season. It's season-defining stuff because of the position that we are in. You've got 3rd to 7th pretty much can guarantee Champions League football on the last game of the season. It is a humongous game against Nottingham Forest away from home, and it's basically going to guarantee us Champions League or not. Depending on what Man City's game in hand is, we're expecting them to win both of those games. So we're basically fighting for 4th, 5th place, right, based on the points. And Enzo Fernandez is taking the games by the scruff. I think he's played fantastic football this season. 20 GA, I believe, this season, which I'm not a massive stats man. They do come into play, and they have their own argument, of course, but just watching Enzo Fernandez, knowing how good he is, now he's playing in that further forward, more advanced positions in Enzo Maresca's system, and what Enzo Maresca is trying to teach him, being that late midfielder into the box, scoring goals, creating chances. But playing with conjunctivitis is no joke, That's no joke at all. Messes with your eyesight, like, completely. I also think that conjunctivitis can be contagious, right? So I'm hoping that he's at least gone past the point where it's not contagious to then start playing. I think it's like 48 or 72 hours or something. But to play for the last 2 games with it, that's actually wild. So fair play, Enzo Fernandez, man. Let me know your thoughts down below. Would you be playing with conjunctivitis? Do you think that this is something worth highlighting? I personally thought it was, because I feel like it's more of the human side of these footballers and knowing how they can play. We know that some footballers don't play because they've got a bit of a cold, and I get it. It's more of the sports science behind it, right? They are advised not to, and if you're not going to be 100%, you're not going to play. But this messes with your eyesight, and being a player that creates chances and seems to have an eye for goal this season as well, being an integral part of Enzo Maresca's system and having like dodgy eyesight for the last 2 games, I just thought it was worth mentioning, and very admirable. Nizar Kinsella has also reported that Enzo Fernandez is regarded as one of the leaders of the dressing room by manager Enzo Maresca. Now, there is a question to be had here, and again, I would love to know your thoughts down below when we talk about this, but is there a case for Enzo Fernandez to be the future Chelsea captain? Because this kind of ties into literally what we just spoke about with the whole conjunctivitis thing. Regardless, he's like, cool, my eyes aren't 100%, I'm still playing because I know what it means to play for Chelsea, and I know how important these games are, and I want to go out there and dictate what I can do, and I want to go out there and try and win the games, do everything that we can. He's always seemed to be G'ing up the players. He's always seemed to be trying to take the game by the scruff. Now, yes, there's been moments where he's been sort of down in the dumps, frustrated, and you can see that. He is obviously still young, like the entire squad. Is the youngest in the league, I believe. However, I think that he shows a lot of leadership qualities, and he has been the vice captain in Reece James's absence. And we've also seen some other people like Caicedo take the armband as well. Now, for me personally, I would love to see Enzo Fernandez be the captain in the future, but it's a bit of a rock and a hard place, because I don't want to take the captaincy away from Reece James. Reece James is one of the best players in the world when he's fully fit. And this season he's had, I think it's 25 games now in appearances. And the game against Manchester United is a prime example of how it's a captain's performance. He's done it time and time again this season. The free kick against Bournemouth, the assist against Manchester United, the two off the top of my head. But he's done it many, many times. Going back to last season, the assist that he provided against Nottingham Forest when we needed that goal for Nicholas Jackson to score that header to then win the game. Like, he's just the Ajax goal. He's just always creating moments as Chelsea captain, and he's been there. He bleeds blue. He's been there since a kid. But this just kind of ties into the conversations and the reportings from the board and Maresca saying, like, look, they love James. They think his ability is amazing, but he's more of an introverted player, an introverted person, sorry. And potentially they're looking at old school Chelsea captains where they were warriors on the pitch, loud, vocal. Now, I have seen some people in my comment section saying, well, you kind of need an English-speaking captain, really, to be in the Premier League, and I totally disagree. You know, I think captaincy comes from leading by example, setting the example as well, and just taking the game by the scruff, pure passion. And Enzo Fernandez definitely has passion, and I feel like he does lead by example. And I think that also ties into the previous point of playing with conjunctivitis. He's showing the other players, like, look, it's not contagious. Don't worry, boys, chill. But it's more like, I don't care what happens to me. This club is more important, and getting the results, going out there and fighting for the team is more important than anything. Has Reece James done that? Of course he has. I'm not disputing this, and I don't want to take the captaincy away from Reece James. I think he's a fantastic player, and he's on the sort of the final stretch of recovery, right? He's played the most games since under Tuchel. Since that time, you know, this season he's played the most. I think it's 25 appearances. Enzo Maresca's done fantastically well at the man management, keeping him fit, for sure. But I'm just asking the question, is there a case to be had or a conversation to be had for Enzo Fernandez to potentially be Chelsea's future captain in years to come? Because obviously he is very young. I mean, so is Reece James, to be fair, but I don't know. I'm just curious to know your thoughts down below about it. I'd love to have a conversation about it, because I personally see Enzo as a vice captain. I feel like he's done enough to step up when needed to be a captain. You can see the passion that flows through him. You know, when he's celebrating goals, celebrating other teammates' goals. You know, you always see these cutaway videos of how he is with fans after, and, you know, how he is during games. And again, yes, I know that there are moments where he, looks very frustrated. He's waving his arms about. But of course, all players do that. But I'm just curious to know your thoughts. Do you feel like Enzo Fernandez could be future captain, or would you just keep it with Reece indefinitely? Let me know your thoughts. Rudy Galletti has reported that Chelsea are now seriously considering opening talks with Ajax for 19-year-old Dutch centre-back Jorrel Hato after losing out on Dean Huijsen. He will cost in the region of £37.8 million to £42 million. Liverpool, AC Milan and Arsenal remain interested. And I find this very interesting. Of course, we lose out to Dean Huijsen. He goes to Madrid. We weren't really going to compete, whether it was on a wage front or the club's pull. Real Madrid is the biggest club in the world. Happily concede that. You know, Dean Huijsen said he wanted to play there as a kid, even though he's still very young. It is what it is, right? We're going to lose out. And Mark Gahey has just won the FA Cup with Crystal Palace, and there's been some reports coming out saying he's more than happy to run down his contract for the next couple of years. Give the rest of his time to Crystal Palace and then assess his options later. Whether or not that's concrete or just rumours, we don't really know yet, because I've only seen a couple of things coming out about that. But we know that those two players, Dean Huijsen and Mark Gahey, were on Chelsea's shortlist, and if they're both not obtainable this summer, do we move to someone like Jorrel Hato? Now, he's 19 years old. I think he's made like 6 caps for the Netherlands. He's kind of breaking through. He's a very good defender, plays centre-back, but also plays left-back as well. So he kind of fits into Enzo Maresca's Swiss Army knife approach, where he could be covered for Cucurella if needed, because we still need that left-back cover. But again, if he plays on the left-back and we invert from the right, he then becomes that left-sided centre-back. Being a left-footed centre-back, we currently have Levi Colwill and Benoit Badiashile. Is he an upgrade on Badiashile? Potentially. He's 19 years old. I find it very hard to judge youngsters of this age. Yes, he's played very well for Ajax. Don't get me wrong. He's played very, very well. But again, different league. Coming across to the Premier League, it's more physical. It's got more of a pace to it. I mean, you could say he's better than Badiashile. Is he better than Levi Colwill? I don't think so. So would this be a Chelsea buying a player to develop and then sell on for profit? Because if you're going to be spending around 38 to 43 million on a centre-back who can play left-back, a Swiss Army knife player, I don't really see that as a buy to develop to sell. I feel like that money is a bit too much, right? Because if you could convert that to euros, it's even higher. So that says to me the intent is, we've looked at the data, he looks incredible, he's great in interceptions, good in the air, good ball-carrying centre-back who can also play left-back. That says to me it's serious intent to go and try and get him, secure his services, and he becomes part of the Chelsea squad. We rotate him in. He could be covered for Cucurella, he could be covered for Colwell, and then hopefully he develops within the squad over time. The one thing that this doesn't solve, which Chelsea fans are screaming for, is experience. This does not scream out experience to me. He's 19 years old. Now, he may be playing at Ajax, may be playing well, may have all these attributes. I'm not taking this away from him. He looks like a fantastic player with a very high ceiling and lots of potential. And that's a phrase we've used a lot under this Chelsea ownership, because that's what they seem to go for. Whether it's to buy and keep in the squad, integrate and develop, or to buy, to develop, to sell on. We've seen this time and time and time again. But I would love to know your thoughts. Do you think this is a buy, develop and sell for profit type of deal? Or do you think Chelsea want to buy this guy and integrate him into the first team? Do you think he'd be a good signing? Do you think he could help elevate our backline? Do you think he could be an unbelievable player within the next couple of seasons? Do you think he's cut out for the Premier League? I'd love to know your thoughts. For me personally, I find it very hard to judge a 19-year-old because, again, he's playing for Ajax, who are a top team, playing Europe, don't get me wrong. But coming to the Premier League, it's a different kettle of fish. Is he going to knock Levi Colwell out of a position? I doubt he will, because Enzo Maresca rates him so highly. Badiashile, potentially. If we do sign someone like Hato, then that means that Badiashile could potentially be out. So there could be that angle to it. Also, if he can play on the left-hand side, which he has done many a time, then he is also cover for Cucurella, who's more natural on that side. Now, obviously, we had Renato Vega. Now, it looks like Renato Vega is probably going to get sold for profit this summer, which actually saddens me, because I feel like he's a fantastic player. He already knows what it means to play for Chelsea. The passion this guy had from the games that he's played, getting involved with the crowd, playing up to the crowd as well, knowing how important them challenges are. He can play in that 6 role, play as a left back. He wants to primarily play as a centre back. He doesn't look like he's going to be getting those opportunities. So Chelsea are probably going to move him on, which is a shame for me personally. I think he's got a lot of room to improve. I think he's already at a very good standard, and we picked him up for like £16 million or euros or something, which is an absolute bargain. But in terms of the price tag and what Chelsea are looking to do with their transfer strategy, that makes more sense to them move him on for profit. In Hato's instance, 42 million being like the sort of highest ceiling of what we're willing to pay. That doesn't say to me like, oh, we're going to buy him, develop him and sell him for 100 mil. That's a big risk. So I feel like that's a serious intent from Chelsea. They're going to look to try and sign this player. If they do sign Hato, then he has to be part of the squad, and we have to pray that he's good, because again, it does not address the experience that we are screaming out for, in my opinion. He could come in and set the world alight, right? Fair enough. I'll quite happily hold my hands up and have pie on my face and say, eat humble pie and say I'm wrong. That's not a problem. I've got no issue with that at all. But from the surface, it just looks like we're looking to buy another it's another data-driven transfer where we're hoping that he comes good in the next few years, when realistically this summer is all about strengthening the key areas with experience and people that can hit the ground running. And I don't know if Hato is that player. So if Chelsea then go sign Hato, are we still in the market for another centre-back? Because we're also linked with Ben Nelson, who's a 21-year-old, who, may or may not be good enough for the Premier League currently, but maybe in the future. So if we buy him, are we still going to try and go get some experience? Because that's what we need in this backline. Are we going to keep Trevor Chalobah? Or are we going to offload him for profit? If we keep Chalobah, there's an argument that we do have a little bit more experience, but we still need to add some more to it. So it'd be very interesting to know your thoughts down below. Would you sign Hato, or would you miss him and go for someone more experienced? And finally, TV Dello Sport have reported that Arsenal, Chelsea and Liverpool are all interested in signing Benjamin Sesko, but no one will meet the RB Leipzig's asking price of over £84 million. £84 million. Now again, whether it's a transfer rumour on the rumour mill, whether there's some sort of foundations to this, we know that RB Leipzig are going to want to cash in on Sesko. He is one of those strikers that are hot property this summer, along with Gyökeres and Osman. We are fully aware of this. Chelsea have been linked with Sesko, we've been linked with Delap, we've been linked with Osman, we've been linked with Gyökeres. These just go round and round and round and round. And originally it was like Sesko could be available for 60 million. That's now changed. It now looks like it's £84 million. That is a monstrosity of an amount to pay for a striker who's not proven in the Premier League and has only played in the Bundesliga. Because Chelsea specifically don't have a good track record with players bought from the Bundesliga. If you look at Havertz, you look at Werner, you look at Nkunku, it's not looking good. And we spent a lot of money on those players, but nowhere near 84 million. The last player we spent that type of money on is Mudryk. And I know that was a progressive contract. He hits certain criteria over time. There's all sorts to it, but we still paid a big chunk up front. and he can't play at the moment because of the whole test result thing. Not saying that this is going to happen with Sesko, but Chelsea desperately need a number 9. We've now found out that Osimhen and Gyökeres can be available this summer for £60 million, which is £24 million cheaper than Sesko. Sesko's been heavily linked with Arsenal. He has been linked with Chelsea as well. Arsenal have also been linked with the other 3. I mean, a lot of people, everyone's been linked with the same strikers because the world pool of world-class number 9s is so small. You've got Sesko, Delap, Osimhen and Gyökeres, the main 4. Yes, you could chuck Isak into that, but he's going to be well over £100 million signing if he is to leave Newcastle, which I don't think he will, if Newcastle secure Champions League football, which it looks like they will do. So I don't know, man. £84 million. I like Sesko as a player. I think he can bring a new dynamic to the team. I'm not sure if he fits Enzo Maresca's system the way that we think he may. I would much rather go with a Gyökeres or an Osimhen. Personally, it's £24 million cheaper according to these reports, and in my opinion, they are a lot more proven in terms of goal scoring. It seems like they are the things. That's the one thing that those 2 players do, and that's it. They just score goals, and that's what we need in this Chelsea team. We need a potent number 9 to get on the end of all of these crosses. I think Neto is putting the most crosses, most accurate crosses this season, and there's no one to head them in. There's no one to get on the end of them. It's very, very rare. So could you imagine a player? I mean, Sesko is good in the air. Sesko does score goals. I'm not saying that he doesn't, but he also has like the hold-up play, and he has a lot more assists to his game, and he seems to make these types of runs that are very different to Gyökeres and Osimhen, at least from what I've seen anyway. I would love to know your thoughts down below about, you know, who you'd prefer out of Sesko, Osimhen and Gyökeres. I know there's a lot of people crying out for Osimhen, and to be fair, I would love to see Osimhen play for Chelsea. I think it would be amazing. Again, it's always the same old thing, wages, wages, wages. I feel like Sesko could potentially fit into our wage structure. Potentially, I don't know. Out of the 3 of Gyökeres, Osimhen and Sesko, he seems the most likely to. But £84 million is a lot of money for a Bundesliga player coming across to the Premier League, where historically for Chelsea, you know, specifically, it hasn't translated. I mean, you could argue the same for Gyökeres being in the Portuguese league, but he has scored like 75 goals in the last 2 years, which is just wild when you think about it. And he has actually played for Coventry in the English leagues. So, like, it's not the Premier League, but he has played, you know, a high enough standard in England to understand that it's more fast-paced. He was still developing his game. He seems to be, you know, not a master of his craft, but very close at Sporting with the goals he's banging in. I think he scored like 39 and 34 this season, which is just wild. It's not normal to score more goals than games you've played. It's just not. Osimhen's had a fantastic season in Turkey. Obviously, he had a fantastic season at Napoli and won the Scudetto. Sesko, out of the 3, I'd be like, nah, I'm okay, thanks. I would much rather spend less money and get, in my opinion, a more clinical forward whose sole job is to get on the end of crosses and score goals. Because in my opinion, Osimhen is great in the air, good link up, whatever. But his primary job is just give me the ball and I'll score. Gyökeres, give me the ball and I'll score. Sesko can do that. Let's not get that wrong, like get it twisted. Sesko can score goals. That's obviously his job. But there's a lot more to his game, which could be more appealing to someone like Enzo Maresca's system. Whereas realistically, Chelsea just need a player that can score goals because we do everything else the way it needs to be done. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. So that's all the latest Chelsea news. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported. I love having a conversation with you guys. And if you have watched this video all the way to the end, firstly, you're a real one. And I mean that. You are a real one. But secondly, there'll be a thumbnail that appears on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure to click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.